I am so excited because this is one of the world's famous entrepreneurs, Leslie Zann, author, consultant, and professional speaker, been all over the world empowering and inspiring not only many entrepreneurs, but especially women entrepreneurs. She is an icon, and she has a new book coming out, Outrageous Achievement, not just achievement, which will be available February 23rd. I've been waiting to say this for so long. Welcome to the Playbook, Leslie Zann.
Thank you, David. And I've been excited to hear you say that.
All right. Well, I'm just so intrigued by the title, Outrageous Achievement, because I think they're within the context of outrageous achievement, a lot of trials, tribulations, and humility that come along the way. So I thought maybe you could give me your inspiration behind the book and take us through maybe a little bit of your journey of how you got to the point of outrageous achievement.
No, I'd be glad to. I've always been curious why so many people have big dreams and yet so few act on them. And why is that? And what causes that? And it has me self-reflect too. I mean, what are my big dreams? And am I acting on them? And I've learned through the years that there's a tangible difference between having a dream and living it. And I believe too many people are having a dream, but aren't actually taking the steps necessary or have the belief or find the courage or the discipline or all the things I talk about in the book to actually turn that dream into a reality.
I love that because I think a lot of people believe in the law of attraction. They have a dream and belief. They're innovators with great ideas. And I always say, and I know you share this sentiment, there's a million great ideas out there. But there's two laws of pragmatic living that you adhere to and you empower others with. One is the simple law of gravity. I think you have a distinct ability of telling people, look, I understand you have this great belief, this great desire, this great imagination and creativity, but we live on this earth, and in order for us to believe and think and innovate, we have to understand the law of gravity, that things actually get pulled down to us that we think, believe, and innovate in. But even more importantly, you and I share the same spirit animal. And that's, no offense, because it's not a matter of looks. The spirit animal to me is the mule. Look, there is strength and length in the way that we work. A lot of people can work hard, but can they work long and hard with the patience and persistence? And you are like me, the spirit animal of a mule. You're able to have that strength and length in your life. Where did that come from? I look for it in entrepreneurs. I try to share it and inspire it in entrepreneurs. But where did your strength and length come from?
Well, through a lot of adversity, through a lot of overcoming challenges. I think in the beginning, I was raised in a football family. My grandfather, as you know, was an NFL football coach. So I think in the beginning, having Sunday mornings and Sunday afternoons actually be such a clear example of winning and losing, and what does that mean, and how to overcome adversity and how to come back from a loss to follow a dream or win again. And my grandfather never sat in the loss. His language was always very positive. We lost today, put it behind us, we're looking forward. I know for a fact that filtered down to me when I was a child. And then, like everyone else, I had a lot of different challenges moving through life, from divorce and bankruptcy, and had my house burned down and had illness, and a lot of the things that many of us go through. And as I matured and as I went through each of these challenges, I became stronger. I really believe it's a choice. And we'll stay on the football theme today since it's the playoffs anyway. Vince Lombardi has a very famous quote that most everyone knows, whether you're a football fan or not. It's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up. And I modify that just a little bit. It's not whether you get knocked down. We know we're going to get knocked down. It's whether we get back up transformed. And I mean transformed in a positive way. We have two choices. We can get back up and go over here and be the victim. Woe is me. It's never going to happen again. What was I thinking? Why did I try that? How could I happen? Bad things always happen to me. Or I can get up transformed with the attitude of, hey, that wasn't fun. It wasn't easy and it hurt. But I'm still clear about where I want to go, how I'm going to get there, the woman I want to be as I move in that direction.
You know, you listed out an extraordinary amount of life experiences that maybe and have provided to other people knockout punches. And yet, you, like me, are able to find the light, the love, and the lessons in those hardest hitting times.
Yeah.
But it takes even a more outrageous achiever to transform those hard hits into actually the prize.
Yeah.
What were some of the mindset or emotional aspects of being able to not only withstand the punches and keep on going and get up, get back up, get started, get restarted, and transform, but actually truly carry the energy and the perspective that you were rewarded by those hard hits?
Yeah. Well, the answer in 2 words is personal development. You know, Jim Rohn always said, work harder on yourself than your business or your job. I've done the work, David. I've done the work. And you have to be courageous enough to do the work. So my commitment to personal development allowed me to pick myself up, dust myself off, believe that I can move forward, believe I could overcome and achieve. I'll give you a great story because I know I ticked off those occurrences, and none of it was easy, right? And the way I look at it now, I mean, I never had an A, like it was never life or death, right? It wasn't ever an A challenge, but I had a lot of B challenges. And so a great example of how personal development supported me, I'll never forget, you know, I had the betrayal after an 18-year marriage, and that really hit me hard. And I'll never forget the day left laying fetal on the floor in the kitchen and wondering, well, I don't know what I was wondering. I don't think I was too coherent really, but there was this little voice in the back of my head and I could hear her. And it was saying, Leslie, this is going to allow you to be the best Leslie you could be if you choose it. Like, and the depths of my despair. And that same voice, David, came to me when my house burned down and I was standing out in front of my home, watching the firefighters throwing things out of the windows and knowing I was losing everything except the clothes on my back. That same voice was there to buck me up when we were forced to declare bankruptcy, when our real estate business went under 30 years ago. That same voice was there in 2012 when I started Leslie Zann Consultant in the middle of a recession, when everyone told me this was the wrong time to go out on your own. And what are you thinking? And how could you do this? And you're newly divorced. And what are you going to do? That same voice has been nurtured and strengthened over the years with my commitment to personal development.
And in that commitment to personal development, you have a very strong mindset. You have a very strong, empowering, pragmatic disciplines in order to construct that mindset. And you have, in all fairness, as we look at the difference between equity and equality with Martin Luther King Day and a variety of things going on in America, you have a very strong woman's mindset as well, and distinguishes and appreciates how men and women are the same, but also appreciate how men and women are different. You know, that mindset, what is it constructed on?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. From having been a professional speaker all these years, I notice the difference when I'm in an audience, when I'm presenting to an audience that's all women, when I'm presenting to an audience that's all men, or when I'm presenting to a co-ed audience. And having worked with field leaders in those same situations, the feminine, masculine, right brain, left brain. I mean, one of my life's lessons, I believe, is to meld those two together more efficiently and more consistently. I tend to lean on more of my masculine energy a lot of the time. I'm a take charge, I'm a leader, I'm a fast decision maker. And yet there's still that woman in me who has all the empathy and the humility, and not that men don't, but tend to that feminine energy of wanting to be liked and wanting to do the right thing, and I'm the middle of 3 girls, so wanting everyone to be happy, right? Wanting to be the peacemaker. So just that awareness of the difference in the masculine and feminine, and that conscious decision to find the best of both of those in my life and in my actions and have it reflect in who I am has been an interesting part of my journey for sure.
For sure. And one of the most interesting things too, I know you talked about that inner voice during the most difficult times, the one that got you motivated to get up, get back up, get started and get back started and evolve into the extraordinary person who's writing these extraordinary books now and speaking all over the world, empowering so many people. But yet you also experience the same inner voice that I have to make you an expert on how to deal with fear and the negative voices that come up that create the need to be offended and right and separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, guilty, angry, all of the different things. And yet it's one thing to deal with the inner voice yourself of fear, but you're an expert at helping other people deal with their inner voices that may not be as positive as the one that gets you back up as well. What are some of the things that you teach and share in your book in Outrageous Achievements to help people with the mindset and the capabilities to overcome their fears?
Well, I have a whole chapter. Chapter 1 actually is all about overcoming fears and limiting beliefs. And I hit on the 5, what I feel are the 5 universal fears of rejection, failure, success, judgment, and change. And I not only take them through those fears, I have examples of people I interviewed who personally lived through those particular fears. And so my fundamental belief is, my knowing is that we make our fears up. Like we've made them up. Not that they aren't real, but we've made them up. And if we can make them up, we can unmake them. It really comes down to awareness and a willingness to accept the fact that, hey, fear of success or fear of judgment or fear of change has been stopping me to this point, but that doesn't mean it has to be who I am moving forward. So if I've said it once, I've said it a billion times, change begins with awareness. So first we have to figure out what fear or limiting belief may be keeping us stuck. You know, when I talked about doing the work, and I believe for most people, once they have the awareness, I mean, they don't have to noodle on this. They don't have to, noodle on it for sure, journal on it for sure, talk to somebody for sure. But literally for most people, it's an instantaneous, oh my gosh, this is what I've been thinking. And then they get to make the decision. Well, I want to continue to think this way, or you know what? I'm going to continue, or I'm going to start doing things differently. I have a sticky all over my house. I have a sticky all over my house that says, I'm willing to see things differently. And so when these things come up for me, a fear, a disbelief, an obstacle, an objection, a disappointment, rather than go down that trail of negativity and disbelief, which is far harder to overcome than the obstacle itself, I am willing to see things differently, which gives me an open space to consider the situation and decide how I want to move forward.
And I subscribe to that fully with we give meaning to everything that we see. Although you have an interesting perspective on how to combat fear as well, you use my main tenet, my biggest value in life, the biggest power and gift that we're given, which is the power of gratitude to combat fear. I've never heard that before. And I really enjoyed your perspective and encouragement on how gratitude can be a combatant of fear.
Absolutely. When I'm dealing with, my audience tends to be salespeople, entrepreneurs, but in general, I mean, when things are going bad, my recommendation is let's focus on everything that is working, not focus on what isn't working. In fact, that was the message of my Facebook Live this morning. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now. There's with the pandemic, with the social unrest, with the political unrest, people's lives have been turned upside down. And I know for me, when I focus on what is working, that opens my heart, that opens my mind, that lets me get centered, that gives me the strength and the discipline to decide, okay, what's my obstacle? What's my challenge? What do I want to do? And how can I move through it and make it happen? But it starts with getting that terrific energy that comes from being grateful for what is working. We all have, at our worst, we all have so much to be grateful for. And it is a driver of behavior, it is a driver of courage, of discipline, of accountability, of joy, of vision. Gratitude is a gift that we have every day, and it's a choice to tap into it or not.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people focus in on what's missing, what they don't have, what they don't want, or even worse, like you and I, we focus in on what other people want for us as pleasers. And then we're always so surprised when what we don't want, what's missing, and what other people want come into our lives instead of voting or focusing on what we do want. Just to finish up, I have a mission in my life to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. I know you are one of those 1,000 people as I go through the math that's going to empower 1,000 to empower 1,000 to help me empower over 1 billion people to be happy, create this collective consciousness that you and I both believe in, this abundant philosophy that will provide more than enough of everything for everyone. But you also have a tangential belief into happiness that I really want to dive into. And it's what people ask me, the difference between happiness and joy. And you talk about being joyful a lot. And I'd love to hear your distinction between one, happiness and joy, and then what that actually means, being joyful.
That's so interesting. And I just did my new vision board for 2021, and it's all graphics except for one statement. And the statement is the power of joy. It's so good. So the difference between joy and happiness, by my definition. So happiness comes from external things. So I'm happy if I get the boy. I'm happy if I get the job. I'm happy if I have the money. I'm happy if I have the house. I'm happy if I'm in the right size jeans. So happiness comes from those external things. But then if you don't get the boy, if the jean size goes up, if you don't get the money, if you don't get the job, now I'm unhappy. So happiness coming from external, whereas joy is that inner compass, that true north. Joy is that internal flame that we choose to light and keep lit. So regardless of what is going on in our lives, we can maintain that sense of joy for life, joy for the journey, joy for the possibilities and the lessons. And so that really serves me often, like I'm really a joy gal and but conscious of it. And again, like anything else, be real conscious of it. And the pandemic in so many ways, David, if it's brought tons of lessons, like that could be a whole other conversation, the lessons of the pandemic, that could be a whole other podcast. But I believe my strongest lessons from what has happened over the past year is it's reaffirmed what I've always known were my strongest core values. My strongest core value for health, my strong core value for financial security, my strong core value of service, my strong core value of community, my strong core value of joy. And those are my top 5 core values. And the pandemic has brought them to light in so many unexpected and glorious ways.
Wow, there's no doubt why people talk about surrounding yourself with the right people and the right ideas. And you are that right person for me, and you certainly share the right ideas. I encourage everyone, February 23rd, if you want to pre-sell the book as well, please check out Outrageous Achievement. You can tap into your limitless potential to create a life you've always wanted from an expert speaker, author, world business consultant, and most importantly, my dear friend.